Hi everyone, it's Nezzle and welcome back to my channel Nezzle and to another episode of Nezzle Talks Tuesday. In today's video we're going to talk a bit about grief and dealing with the loss of a loved one. But before I get into it, I want to make a quick disclaimer and let you know that I am not a grief counselor. So if you are dealing with any significant amount of grief or distress surrounding the loss of a loved one, then I encourage you to see a psychologist who is certified in grief counseling so that you can get a treatment plan that is made for you. Now I am outside today. I am actually down Old Harbor Road. If you saw my last vlog, then you know what I'm talking about. It was pretty noisy at my home, so I wanted to give you guys the outside feel but with less background noise. So I hope you enjoy that, and if you enjoyed the video overall, then please thumbs it up so I'll know. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts on the video, anything that I may have left out or that you think is crucial or that will be helpful for persons dealing with grief, and subscribe if you're new or if you haven't yet subscribed. I post new videos twice weekly, Tuesdays, the Nezzle Talk Tuesdays videos, and Fridays. Both videos come out at 2 p.m. so once you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you'll be notified every time I post. Also, don't forget that if you have a topic that you would like me to talk about or a question you would like me to answer, then send it to nezzletalks@gmail.com and I will feature it in one of my upcoming videos. You will remain anonymous, so you don't have to worry about me revealing who the question or topic came from. So just shoot me a question or a topic at your convenience and I will address it. Now there's so much that I really want to touch on in today's video. I really hope I don't leave anything out. There's so much going on in our world today. If you have been looking at the news, then you know what has happened recently with the murder of George Floyd, and so many people are grieving his death and the circumstances surrounding the death. We have had riots and looting and so many things happening in the US, and even though I am far from the US, I am affected by what has happened. As a black woman, I cannot sit here and say that it did not affect me. So I know that there are lots of people who are dealing with grief surrounding that incident, as well as a lot of people who are dealing with the loss of persons near and dear to them due to the virus that has been ravaging our world. Not to mention all the other persons who pass away on a daily basis to illnesses like cancer and diabetes and everything else. Most of us have dealt with or will deal with loss at some point in our lives, and so I really hope that this video will be helpful to you in some way. Grief is a very sensitive topic and it affects everyone differently, and so again I will say that this is just general information. If you are dealing with severe grief, please see someone who can help you to deal with it more strategically. So when we are grieving, we know that that grieving process is usually accompanied by feelings of sadness, loss, depression, sometimes anger, confusion. Various emotions come up when we lose someone who is near and dear to us. And as I said, each person's grieving process will differ. So you may be living in a house with someone and you have both lost the same person, and their way of dealing with the grief might be the complete opposite of your way of dealing with the grief. However, it's very important to respect each person's way of dealing with the loss. Even though we all deal with grief differently, the reality is that for most people, time is the only thing that heals the wounds that are left behind by the persons who we no longer have with us now. If you saw my Mother's Day video, you will know that I lost my mom 15 years ago. And that does not mean that I don't still have a level of grief surrounding that loss. But with time, I have been able to get back to life as normal, as you may put it. But that doesn't mean that you stop thinking about the person or stop missing the person. So I don't want you to look at this and think that the grieving process ever ends completely, or that you ever get to the point where you stop thinking about the person or missing the person. But it does get easier. In time it gets easier. Now additionally, if you had a difficult relationship with the person who has passed away, that can also really affect your grieving process. For instance, if you were angry at the person, if the person did something to hurt you, if you never got a chance to say goodbye to that person, all of those factors will influence the way that you deal with the grief. So for instance, someone who had the opportunity to say goodbye and they were prepared for the loss of a loved one might be able to deal with the grief better than someone who found out that their loved one was taken from them really suddenly and they didn't get that chance to resolve any issues that were present between the two of them. There are also other stresses that can affect how you deal with grief. For instance, if you lived with the person and you now find yourself living alone, it can be very difficult to adjust to now living on your own without this person. Or maybe you didn't live with the person, but the person was someone that came to you often, visited you. Also, depending on the age of the person, the circumstances surrounding the death of the person, all of those things will factor into how you handle the death. For instance, for someone who passes away at a much older age, while you will miss the person and grieve the person, you may have a greater understanding and acceptance of what has happened, especially if the person passes away due to natural causes, as opposed to if a child passes away, or if someone is murdered or commits suicide, or whatever the case may be. Now, there's a very popular 5-step model or stage theory regarding dealing with grief. Persons often think that you have to go through those 5 stages in the order that they are presented, but the reality is that not everyone goes through each of the 5 stages, and also that not everyone goes through it in the order that they are usually presented. But I will list the 5 stages here briefly and explain them a bit so that you have an idea of what the stages are, so if you are experiencing any of them, that you can relate to it. So the first stage is usually referred to as denial, and that is where you have a hard time coming to grips with the fact that you have indeed lost this person that is close to you. You're still hoping that you will get a phone call telling you, oops, we made a mistake, it was the wrong person. Or you're like, nah, this person will come around the corner soon, I know it. Or it just can't be, I refuse to accept that this person that I love so dearly has passed away. And denial is natural. It is a defense mechanism. It's a way that we deal with the feelings, or we avoid dealing with the feelings, I should say, of the loss. The second stage is anger. And this anger might be directed at the person who has passed away. It may be directed at an inanimate object, someone completely unrelated to the situation. But oftentimes, persons are angry at that person who has passed away. So if the person passed away due to an illness, you're angry that they didn't take better care of themselves, or that they didn't listen to the doctor's instructions to do certain things or not do certain things. You may be angry that you were not there to prevent whatever happened from happening, or whatever the case may be. But anger is not so much a defense mechanism as denial is. This one is more of a mask. So you're masking the feelings, you're covering up the feelings. Instead of dealing with the feelings, you are transferring those feelings and focusing on the anger. The third stage is bargaining. So in this bargaining stage, it can look different ways. For instance, if you are a believer in a higher power, for instance, me as a Christian, then you may look to God and be like, okay, God, you know what? If you bring back this person, I will do this and I will live for you forever, and I will do this and that and the other. Or you may just start thinking what ifs, or if onlys, those kinds of thoughts. So it's if only I had been there. What if they didn't get up and take the train this morning? What if they didn't go to that particular place? All of those fall into the bargaining phase. The fourth stage is depression. And this is where all of the feelings that you've been ignoring or avoiding during the bargaining stage and the anger stage and the denial stage suddenly come upon you. And for some people, this can be really, really tough to deal with. It's a lot of emotions that are flooding you at once, and it is not easy. If you stay in that stage for too long, then I'm really encouraging you to get professional help. There is nothing wrong with asking for help, because not asking for it can be detrimental to your health and to your ability to move forward with your life. And while moving forward can seem hard or difficult or unfair, it is important, because your loved one who has passed away would want you to continue to live and to have a happy life. And the fifth stage is acceptance. And that does not mean that you are suddenly okay and you no longer miss the person or you no longer grieve the person, but it means that you have now accepted that this person is no longer here with you. You also accept that there are going to be good days, that there are going to be bad days, that some days you're going to miss the person more and other days you may not miss them as much, and you learn not to feel guilty for the days when you don't miss them as much, because you are living your life and you know that that person would want you to live and be happy. Now, as I said, however, everyone does not go through these 5 stages and everyone does not go through it in the order presented. So if you have lost someone, you may stay in one stage for a very long time and ignore the other stages. For instance, I know a lot of people right now are in the stage of anger surrounding the death of George Floyd. I am currently in a stage of anger there as well, where you are angry at the police, angry at the fact that racism still continues to be such a prevalent thing in our world today, despite how much we have hoped and prayed that we have moved forward. And for a person like me who does not particularly experience racism on a daily basis, it can be a shock as well to see it, because when you live on an island like this and you're surrounded by people who look like you and act like you, it can be easy sometimes to not think of your brothers and sisters in other parts of the world who do not have those privileges, who cannot assert themselves to a police officer and feel safe. And so I know a lot of people are in that stage of anger right now. I know a lot of people are also feeling really confused and hurt because you have lost people due to this virus, and maybe you didn't even get a chance to tell them goodbye. You didn't get a chance to go to the funeral and to really fare them well. Here in Grenada, only 10 persons are allowed to attend a funeral service currently. So imagine that you lose someone and they tell you you can't come to the funeral because they have reached the threshold. Imagine how difficult that may be, not getting that opportunity to say goodbye to that loved one. And all of those things are things that give you closure, because when you get the chance to say goodbye, then you get to really deal with how you are feeling towards that person. You get to flesh it out in a way, and even if you will still be sad and hurting, you know that you told that person goodbye, you saw them off. But if you didn't get that, that can really affect the grieving process as well. But it is very important to recognize and accept your feelings. Your feelings are your feelings. Don't let anyone tell you not to feel the way you feel. If you are hurt, if you are angry, if you are confused, feel it. Walk in those feelings, because ignoring it can only make them worse in the long run. So accept that you feel hurt, accept that you miss this person, accept that it is hard, and then work from there. Also, it would be really good if you can connect with other people who are also experiencing the same loss as you are. You can help them, they can help you, and hopefully that can help you to deal better with the situation. Look back on memories that you have with the person, favorable memories, even maybe not so favorable memories, but remember that person, honor their life, and try to make that hold you over. I know it's not enough, trust me, I know it's not enough, but the memories help. If you have pictures, if you have little tokens or keepsakes from that person, all of those things may help you with the process. Again, I say may. None of these things are 100% going to work for everyone. And make sure that you're doing things to take care of yourself. You know, take a shower, eat healthy meals, go for a run or a walk, exercise, listen to music that improves your mood. Do things to improve your self-care. As I've said in this video a few times, I believe by now, your loved one will want you to take care of yourself. They will want to know that you are okay. So do what you can to make sure that you are indeed okay, even though you may feel like your whole world has fallen apart. And if you're a believer, then I highly recommend praying about it. God gives us peace, and He is always with us, always near us. So even though it may be really hard for you right now, trust in God, go to God, pray to Him. I know sometimes it's easy to be angry at Him. Why did you take my loved one? Why didn't you heal my loved one? Especially if you were praying for healing. But a way I look at it is that healing doesn't necessarily mean that you are healed in the natural, but you are healed and you have gone to be with your Heavenly Father. So if you are a believer, you can look at it that way. But I know that everyone looking may not be a believer, but for me personally, that has really helped me in dealing with my own grief, to pray and to give my burdens to the Lord, trusting that He will be with me and that He will walk with me through the situation. You may also find it really helpful to try journaling how you feel during this time. Sometimes writing out how you feel, or even if you don't like to write, maybe typing it in your phone or so, can help you to really articulate and come to grips with exactly what it is that you're feeling. Because if you are confused, if you are troubled, you may just remain in that haze. But by writing it out and being clear about exactly what you're feeling, maybe saying what you wish you said to that person that you didn't get to say, expressing your anger, expressing your frustrations, all of that in a journal that is private and that is just for you, or maybe a journal that you may choose to share with someone at a later date. But I do think it might be helpful to try journaling how you feel through this process. It may also be helpful, I don't know if you may find it helpful, but some people do find it helpful to actually write a letter to the person that has passed away. Of course, we know that this person will not be able to actually read the letter, but it is a form of closure for you as the bereaved. Right? So you are writing a letter and you're letting that person know everything that you wanted to tell them that you didn't actually get a chance to tell them. Some persons, if they have the opportunity, if it is before the funeral and you're able to go to the funeral, you can even include it, like take it to the funeral with you and symbolically give it to the deceased. But even if the person you are mourning has passed away a while ago and you don't have that opportunity, it is a very good way of you reaching a level of closure within yourself to write that letter to them and say everything that you wanted to say to them, and then you can deal with that letter however you please. Some people may choose to keep it, someone may choose to tear it up and get rid of it, or to burn it, or whatever it might be that gives you that catharsis and lets you feel that you have really expressed yourself and let go of what you're feeling. Then that might help you as well. Then for some people it might help to get rid of the things that belong to the deceased so that it's not surrounding you. For other people it helps to keep those items near and dear to them. So figure out what it is for you, because as I said, every person is different and we all deal with grief differently. But by having or not having those things near you, then that might also help you in the grieving process. And depending on your personality, you may choose to take some time to really just spend on your own and reflect on how you're feeling, reflect on the loss. Or you may be someone who likes to be around people and it might help you to just go and be with friends. I know that right now we cannot really be with friends as much as we might want to, but just being able to go to someone and maybe hug them or talk to them or whatever the case might be, if you are able to, then you can give it a try. If you're not, then hopefully one of the other things that I mentioned here will be helpful to you. And the final thing I want to do is just to remind you that if your grief is really significant, if you have been dealing with it for a long time and you feel like there is no way out, then please see a professional, a mental health professional who can help you through the process. There is nothing wrong with going to a grief counselor and having someone walk through the process with you. It will help in the long run, and you have a safe space where you can go and speak about how you are feeling. I know I probably didn't cover everything in this video and that there's lots of things that I could talk about, but I am going to go ahead and end the video here. I hope it was helpful. I hope that it was informative. If it was, then thumbs it up so I'll know. Leave a comment letting me know what else maybe I should have addressed that I didn't. Persons reading the comments can benefit as well. So if you have been dealing with grief or you have tips for persons dealing with grief, then leave it in the comment section below so that we can all benefit. And of course, subscribe if you're new or if you haven't yet subscribed, because these Nezzle Talk videos are a thing on this channel now every Tuesday at 2 p.m. So submit your topics at nezzletalks@gmail.com and I will address them in an upcoming video. I really hope that you're doing well where you are, that you are staying safe, that you are protecting yourself. And if you have lost someone, whether it be as a result of the coronavirus or because of some injustice due to illness, natural causes, whatever it may be, my heart goes out to you. I pray that you will accept my condolences for your loss and that these tips in this video will help you in some way to better understand how you are feeling and maybe help you deal with them. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.